Hey, someone asked me recently about the number of meetings at the workplace. And in that organization, they're working Agile. So I thought that I will share a couple of ideas on how Agile helps reduce number of meetings. So there are very many aspects of Agile which helps us to work more efficiently. I will name just a few from the top of my mind, basically. One is that in terms, and now I'm focusing on the software development team. One is that we are working with, or we work in Agile, we work with smaller requirements and we analyze them just in time. So we don't have to do really long analysis for many days or many weeks. We can just look at the high level idea, quickly give feedback and leave it until it's more relevant and it's closer to the time when we will have to implement it. So even in that particular case, we save time on the meetings which we would have to have and the time spent to analyze in very detailed way all the requirements up front. Also, because we have the requirements are smaller, then the discussion around each requirement is also takes less time. So in that sense, you reduce the time for discussing the requirements. So that's just one aspect. There is, however, when you start with Agile, there are a lot of challenges with that as well, because it's people are not used to work on that level of abstraction and without going into details. So very often it ends up that the whole team and as a group, then everyone wants to tell all the ideas at the same time and really go into details and analyze thoroughly as they would did in the more traditional way of working. So that's one of the challenges and opportunities at the same time. The other one, for instance, is empowerment. So in Agile structure, processes, ways of working, culture, mindset, and roles, everything is made in a way that it empowers the people. And the empowerment happens through transparency, through the mindset, through sharing the information, testing practices. There are many elements which helps with it and enables it. But what happens then is that instead of having big chain of command, you actually have people who are closest to the job and they have enough information provided by their leadership team and others to make the right decision. And they are closest to the job, so they will make the best decision and better than someone who is several levels up. And that means also that decision can happen much faster and less meetings, because they are more, they don't have to go through many meetings and explain the same thing to many stakeholders and convince them and things like that. It can happen very quickly. So that's yet another idea. Again, the common misconception is in Agile very often that everyone needs to be involved in everything and have absolutely all the information. And if that's the case, and that's often the case when people move to Agile, that of course slows down and makes even more meetings, because everyone wants to be part of everything. But that's not Agile. Agile is to empowering the people and actually making decisions faster with less stakeholders involved, but the right stakeholders, provided the right information, not necessarily all the information, but the right information needed to work. Okay, another aspect is decentralization learning, so working in teams. So very often there is one hero, one guru who knows the best the product or certain technology and things like that, and people believe that that's the only person who can solve the problem. And what Agile brings is that we can start to think more in as a team, that we have a group of people who can help each other, and in many cases people might actually might be able to solve certain problem or tasks, but no one ever asked them and they never work this way, so no one knows that there are more people who can do something. Or if they can't at this point in time, they should be able to learn at least till some extent, and then more balance the workload across the team. The challenge with it is when you just start to move towards that mindset, very often you think, no, your case is very different. In your case, it's not possible to learn or to teach someone. And that is just a misconception in most of the cases. I know because I did several transformations, and it's always the same story. That's how we react as human. There are many other also aspects of how Agile can actually help reduce number of meetings. But like I said, there are those misconceptions, so that the teams and organizations needs to go through it, needs to learn through training and also through some sort of hands-on coaching, which in that case is the most effective, because then you can have someone who really can point you out and show how you can think differently in a very specific case. I hope you liked it. I hope it helped you maybe with something. One last thing, remember that, for example, if you use Scrum, you have retrospectives, and that's the great place to think, okay, why do we have so many meetings? What's the purpose of each meeting? And don't also think only about your team, but also about the other stakeholders who are maybe receivers of some information. Try to find out what's really needed, what people think is needed, and versus what's really needed, and maybe there is more efficient way to do it. Good luck, and we stay in touch.